All right, so good afternoon. Welcome to beautiful downtown Humble. We are continuing down the path of celebrating our U.S. veterans and giving them a showcase for their business and their organizations. Got another couple that we're so excited to give them an opportunity to explain what they do for their community and how the small business owners in the greater Lake Houston area can contribute to them, and then what asks they have as far as what support they need for their business, what support they might need for their veteran organizations. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity. And Bob decided to dedicate a whole day to our veterans, and thankfully so. And I agreed to do some interviews here, and hopefully I get better at it as we go along. But we're gonna talk about Mike and Ruth Mallon. So I know a little bit about what they do just because we were in another room talking, but the big point of what we want to talk about is to understand you as people, not necessarily as, hey, here's another business in our environment. But I think that through our chambers of commerce and through my business experience, I've learned that people buy from people. They don't buy from businesses. So I think it's extremely important to highlight you as individuals, as well as to highlight why you're better than others and what you hold most pride in your business. So let's start with Mike. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to sit in this chair today? What brought you down the career path? The service history, all those kind of things.
Okay. I grew up in New York, Brooklyn, and Long Island. Son of a New York City police officer, and graduated from high school and decided to join the Marines. Spent 6 years in the Corps. Some really cool stuff. I did was communications first, and wound up jumping out of perfectly good helicopters and airplanes with a radio strapped to my back. Learned how to eat snakes, and did that for a couple of years, and was fortunate enough to get selected to serve as a U.S. Marine at the American embassies on embassy duty. So I did that for the remainder of my time in the service.
How cool is that? So when you were jumping out of helicopters and planes, where did you do that in the world?
Camp Pendleton, California. I was first MARDIV.
Okay.
And then third Marine Division over in Okinawa. I was with a reconnaissance unit. So
Japan. So the young man we had a second ago, Mr. Vargas, was his first assignment was Japan.
Yep.
Was Okinawa. So yeah, it's small. We kept talking about how small of a world the military really is. You run across each other and you're like, oh, I was stationed there, or do you know so and so? Oh yeah, that was. With as many U.S. service members as there are, you would think it'd be hard to find the same guy twice, and you guys find each other all the time, everywhere.
Especially in the Marine Corps, too, because there's only 4 or 5 bases. So if you spend any time in the Corps at all, you're going to spend some time in Okinawa. It's just going to happen.
And we keep going on this path and talking about how deep and how rich the U.S. military veteran community here is in the greater Houston area. It is. I grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth, and one of the things I noticed very quickly is that people compared to Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston are naturally bigger people. Like when I say bigger, I'm not saying fatter. I mean, like at almost 6 foot, I'm about 5'11". I'm one of the shortest guys at the grocery store. And in Dallas, I'm one of the taller people at the grocery store. So it's naturally they're taller people here. And also one thing I noticed pretty quick is, man, it is a huge veteran population here.
Tremendous.
Yeah, which I think from the way I'm understanding from these interviews, I'm not former service, so all I can do is thank you from afar. But I do notice that the U.S. service members, previous membership, the veterans, are a brother and sisterhood, right? Y'all lean on each other for Absolutely. A lot of things, and I think that's so special, and especially in the greater Houston area because you have such a broad group of people.
Well, we have something unique here too that I've never seen anyplace else. It's like a huge fraternity, the military anyhow, but here we've got the Houston Veterans Chamber of Commerce.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings like-minded veteran-owned business owners together even more so. So, yeah.
It's a subculture.
It's definitely a brotherhood.
Yeah, it's a subculture inside that culture.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Yeah. Speaking about that, I'm part of the Greater East Montgomery County Chamber. I'm on the board with that group, and I think that they do a great job. And Mark and his team, Sherry and Bobby, did an awesome job with the veteran recognition yesterday.
It was
I
awesome.
watching.
We were there. It's a fantastic program.
Yeah, it was impressive, and we got to hear from the Veterans Chamber leadership and what he's doing. I got to meet him personally, and he's a special guy.
Dave is awesome.
He's
awesome. He's on a mission.
Yeah, he's doing it the right way, and I think he's getting the right people involved and making sure the message is staying very clear and it's not getting muddied. It's the way he communicated it. You can tell he's a very educated person that understands how to communicate with normal
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
So right on. Okay, Miss Ruth, how did you get to sit in front of us today?
Well, I grew up in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
Youngest of 11. And let's say I got out as fast as I could and moved to Texas. Graduated high school and came to Texas. And that's where I met Mike after his service with the Corps. And, they say the rest is history. We knew we wanted a future together. So here we are.
Yeah, perfect. So youngest of 11.
I learned self-defense really young.
Wow. Yeah. So I have a neighbor actually that has 11 kids.
God bless.
And it's a cul-de-sac, and we call it Abe's cul-de-sac. I don't know the actual name of the road, but it is literally
But they
his
own it.
cul-de-sac. His kids are everywhere, and I'm always like, and the ages, they range from probably 2 till senior and high schoolish. So
Yeah.
That's kind of like your family.
Yeah,
The
there
mother-
is about 13 years between me and my oldest. So
Yeah,
11
exactly.
kids in 13 years. It was,
yeah,
yeah.
I pray for the mothers of that. The dads, I feel for them. Sorry, buddy, but I think you had, I don't know, more to do with the scenario, right? Than the mothers. So I pray for them a lot more. So welcome to the show. Thank you again for your service. Thank you for being part of this. We want to highlight veterans in our community. We want to make sure they have the best light shined upon them and their businesses to hopefully get a few people headed your direction, and if nothing else, make sure that our community understands our veteran community. And I hate the cliches, and we'll see the commercials right over the next week or so. You're going to see all the thanks to our veterans, and all the big corporations are going to run them out. And to me,
Sales.
it feels like so empty. And I know at least they're doing something, right? But for me, I want it to come from the heart. So I do like to spend time understanding during these times of veteran community and how we can contribute. And we'll get into a little bit of that. So you guys own Storyteller Promotions, which in itself is a pretty cool name. I read that and I was like, yeah, I like that because it talks a little bit more about branding as well as what you might do. So my guess about the name, let's start with the name of your company, was that Storyteller is exactly what I thought. Okay, I assume you guys do apparel. I assume you do the cups, the trinkets, the pins, all those things. But really, when you came up with a name, is it my assumption that you wanted to make sure that the branding, people understood that, hey, it's cool to have these trinkets, but it's also make sure that they're telling us something. Is that accurate?
You're right on
Right on
target.
target.
Bruce says it best. Unless you're Starbucks, a coffee cup probably doesn't tell your story. So we just try to figure out what are those things, the uniqueness of your story behind your brand, and how do we put something in the hand of the person that's going to be creating a connection with your brand that just reinforces the story. Or if for nothing else, when you have those days when it's just tough being an entrepreneur or a small business owner, at least you can look at that logo and you go, yeah, that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've said this before in these interviews, but I had a guy that was talking to me about marketing and where to spend your marketing dollars. And there's some things that I think are important for, I owned a garage door business. And so I always looked for things that were related to cars, garages, those kind of things I could
Absolutely.
put in the garage. So the most valuable piece of marketing I found out was magnets. Why magnets? Because magnets stick to steel, which most doors are steel. One, and magnets also stick to beer fridges
Yeah.
that are in garages. So literally, I would walk inside a garage and start working on it. I'd have my magnet all over it. But it's people like that, that do what you do, that gave me the advice of, let's not just hand out pens.
Right.
Right.
Let's do something
Yeah.
that is going to be reminded when they're interacting with that widget, or when they're part of your business community, right?
Right.
We like to say, ask the question is, where are they when they need you? And that's where your product needs to be. We talk about, always go back to the electrician, right? When do you need an electrician? When your lights are out. So we did a marketing campaign for an electric company or electrician repair company. And it was the magnetic flashlight glow in the dark, so they could pin it on the breaker box.
Yeah,
Because that's
perfect.
the first place you're going when the lights go out, right? So when they hit there, it's like, oh, I need to call him.
Oh, yeah,
So it's
that
like-
was his name.
Yeah.
It was Frank.
If they don't have to, you're not going to find your old Rolodex in the dark. So
Yeah, no. And so, I mean, speaking of that, with your business, where is it best for you guys to spend your marketing dollars? Where it maybe send us down a path of thinking about how we can contribute to what you do with the promotions and advertising and marketing items that you do. What is the best place to relay that?
You talking about physical location or the manner?
Both. I would say, okay, I would say one, yeah, I mean, obviously you have the shirts and represent yourself in that way, but yeah, I mean, just like thinking about me from the garage door world, the example I gave, where's a good location that you found in your world that said, oh yeah, remind them at this spot, physical location. And then second, where's a good manner, and I already know some business events that may help promote your material. So what are two places there?
Well, one of the most successful ones we ever did was we had what we called a brainstorming board. So a lot of people need to keep notes of things that they're doing. So it was a magnetic whiteboard that was probably about the size of an iPad tablet. Went up on filing cabinets in somebody's cubicle, because typically the person's responsible for calling and getting the products that we sell. They're in a cubicle or an office someplace, and it was a constant reminder. It was just in front of them all the time that we were there. So that was one of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, it's very large operations in transportation, and that was, we would do shirts and trinkets
Oh, yeah.
and everything, right? All the time, you name it, and we had it in a big closet most of the time. And I'd be like, hey, her name was Marion. Marion, order me these, and sure enough, it was like exactly you said.
it
But
showed up.
yeah, perfect, good thinking. All right, and then what about events? Where's good places to promote what you do? What Storyteller does?
Probably the most successful ones we've had is when we do lunch and learns. So we'll go into office complexes and actually talk about branding, why branding is important from the very beginning, how to make sure it's consistent throughout the message. And more times than not, we'll get somebody that wants to talk to us more about what we do. We try to educate our clients so that they can make better buying decisions. And through that too, typically comes, like we said, you've got a job to do. You're running a company, or you've got somebody running a company for you, your marketing director, office manager, they have things to do. We're the ones that are supposed to keep up with what's current, what's trendy, what's new. You tell us what you're looking for. We'll do the shopping. We'll find something for you, and we'll bring it back, and you can make a selection. Don't waste your time spending hours on the internet trying to find X, whatever that might be. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it goes down to the where do you put it when you need it most, right? And a lot of times I assume that you have clients, that you've got a group of people you're working with, and something through your education and through you researching products, you'll see something and be like, oh my God, that'd be so good for this company.
Perfect.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's why it's important to work with local businesses, right? Not the .coms, and I don't want to mention their names, but the .com companies that are out there, and you basically say, hey, I want you to make me 5,000 pens, and they send you 5,000 pens.
Right.
No questions asked.
They serve their purpose in the
But
world.
they don't think about what you do as a business
Yeah.
and able to give you, hey, instead of those 5,000 spins and that amount of money you're going to spend, why don't you make 30 of these? This is what you need.
We have actually told clients no.
Yeah.
We've had a particular client in the past that has said the exact same thing. Hey, I'm going to a trade show. I need 10,000 pins. Why? Well, there's going to be 10,000 people in attendance. And are you going to speak to every person that walks through? It's impossible. Even if it's a 2 or 3 day event, you can't talk to 10,000 people. And in the industry, we call them, the trick-or-treaters that come across you set up a display, you spend a lot of money doing this, you're promoting your company, you're there to qualify leads, promote, at least get appointments with future clients. Why do you want to put 10,000 pins out? People are going to walk by, grab it, and you'll never get to speak, not even give them a business card. So we it's almost like exactly you said, 30 to 50 quality items. You keep them under the table. When you get an appointment, when you qualify them, then that's a thank you gift. It's not for everybody and their brother. I mean, pens are great. Cups are great. We've done them all. We still do them all. They have their purpose. But it's not a thank you gift.
Yeah, there was a company, I went to one of the conventions you're referring to, right? It was a big convention, and it was probably 1,500 people there or so. And one of the most genius marketing strategies I saw, and it was from a marketing company, which big surprise, right? So the marketing company had exactly the trick-or-treater item, and I don't remember what they had out there, but it was something pretty cool that people would remember them by. But they had 4 or 5 young ladies there, and the 4 or 5 young ladies were there to chase around specific people. Okay, for me, who is John Ramon and where do I find him?
Yeah.
Because I had done business with him, right? So she would chase me around with a special gift, which was really cool little gift. She's like, hey, thanks for doing business.
That.
Thanks for doing business with me. And then, hey, do you know the guy that owns Austin? Oh, yeah. You're willing to give that name up.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, now she's got a qualified lead of a second one that already knows, oh, I do business with John.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a gimme, right?
You're a partner with them now, not just another order.
That was genius. And I watched her do it, and I'm like, man, I actually texted her after that. That was pretty smart. She's like, I didn't come up with it. And I was like, I know your bosses that are marketing experts did. But okay. All right. So a little bit more about the Storyteller. By Storyteller promotion, it sounds like you guys, in addition to just supplying the trinkets and the shirts and all the cool stuff, you sound like you can do a bit of brand design too. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah, our concept is from concept to market and beyond. So if you're thinking about a branding, we can help you with the original logo design, put it on everything that you're taking to market, and then beyond that point. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm actually working with a friend right now on a business plan. And I'll tell you about that when we get out of here, but I want to give you the name of the company and what they do. And then, because that's one of the things we need to present to the funding partners is what is this brand? Now, this company's marketing is not their thing. It's all relationships, and it's only 32 companies you have to get in bed with. So it's not like, and there's only 4 competitors. Right. so it's not like one of those that they've got to remember you as much. It's just more of just, hey, what does that brand need to look like, right? So, no, perfect. I appreciate that. And, that gives a good name, right? It tells me Storyteller is more than just, hey, we supply trinkets.
Well, one of the other things that we constantly work on is your brand has also got to communicate something to everybody internally. So it's not just the external customer, it's the internal customer as well. What does it say about the company? How am I supposed to behave? What am I supposed to look like? There's a lot more to it than just the logo design and what it says to the outside world. There's some back of the house operations that we work on too.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends, Jeremiah, with Standard Company, and we were talking about how important the branding is and making sure it's very, how do you say, universal, very defined colors, schemes,
Absolutely.
images, fonts, making sure that's very recognizable. Because a lot of people, once they start seeing that out of the corner of their eye, now it's subliminal to that brand as well.
Yeah.
And do you guys have experience dealing with those brands and understand those things, or?
Yes. So Ruth comes from the Marriott world in her background.
Okay.
I was trained by Disney, and one of the things that we swear to God was Bill Marriott, Walt Disney must have had coffee on a constant basis. And both of those places taught us over the years the importance of the fonts, the colors, the textures, what each one of those things communicate to the individual that's looking to work with that brand, work in the brand. The importance of a branding guide, the importance of the cultural training that goes on behind the brand, all those things.
Yeah.
It's a greater concept than just that one
I
thing.
like to think of like your brand is your culture, right? That brand represents, we were expected to act a certain way when we were at work. It was on stage, off stage, it's rules. We have the same thing, it's just the two of us. We used to be, our sons were involved with us, they've moved on. But it was like, how do you act when you're at a chamber event? How do you act, behind the scenes when we're in production? There's different rules for engagement based on your brand.
Yeah.
And it's not just the color and the shape and the fun. It's all very important, but it's truly that culture that goes behind it. Our logo is purple, and I cannot tell you over the years how many people have sent me purple items out of the random blue. Hey, I saw this purple
And thought of
wallet
it.
and thought of you, and sent it to me.
I'm curious from my history, why did you choose purple?
Long
So the
story.
story, our original story, how we began, we knew we wanted to do something together, right? So coming from the corporate worlds, we've both been in there, raising kids, doing the 2-income, 2-car household. We were looking for something different. We knew we wanted to do something different. Wasn't really sure what it was. So we did go see the movie Up because we were big Disney fans, left the kids at home. And our logo is based off of a grape soda bottle cap.
Okay.
So if you remember, I don't know if you've seen the movie Up.
Mm-hmm.
If you have, we can continue talking. If not, we'll have to dismiss ourselves. When Carl and Ellie were little and they were in the adventure club, Ellie hands Carl what she called the adventure badge. And it was a grape soda bottle cap on a pin.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I remember
So
that now.
Our story behind our brand is that's when we knew this was our adventure and we had to move forward with our idea before it was too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only live so long.
So it was the grape soda bottle cap as our logo. We adopted that.
Yeah.
And then because grape soda represented adventure and this was our adventure, everything we do is purple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
But we're in gray today. But
Well,
purple
the
logo.
purple's still there.
Usually it's the purple shirts and everything all out. But yeah.
that's neat. Have you ever heard of the Purple Promise?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, Google that one.
Okay.
So it's actually FedEx's. I worked for FedEx for 19 years.
Okay.
Fred Smith, I remember that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Fred, years and years and years ago. So he's got a bunch of operating companies. But if you
Right.
always look, it's always the same uniform purple color that he uses on all of his vehicles and planes and you name it, right? And it's the Purple Promise. So everybody that wears purples, it's a simple statement. It's just, I will make every FedEx experience outstanding.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you remember, I hadn't worked for the company since
You remember it though.
You remember
but
it.
it's drilled into you,
Yeah.
and that teaches you, right? Like you were saying, the before and after, the internal and external customer, right? So that teaches
Absolutely.
you, reminds you when you're on the phone, when you're interacting one face to face, or when you're in chamber events and in the general public, and you understand what that means. So, no, I think it's good, and I think there's also purple is royalty, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Passion.
Yep.
You've heard of all those things. So yeah, there's very specific reasons, and I think that you guys have done enough research to educate people on, hey, why is that color,
Yeah.
important, and this is why we chose this for your business, and a lot of people, like, you're dealing with veteran businesses, right? And your interactions in y'all's Chamber of Commerce, maybe they haven't come up with their brand. Maybe they have an idea of what they want that image to look like, but your team can obviously support them through the color designs, the brand design, and hey, this is maybe with what you're telling me where I think you need to go with it. Is that
Absolutely.
accurate?
Absolutely.
Yeah, perfect. All right, good. All right, so let's get down the path of of your veteran partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce, right? I think that's important because the people that are going to listen to this are small business owners in the greater Lake Houston area, and then also the veteran community that we're spending the day with on Veterans Day, just making sure that we have a lot of these content and to make sure that our veteran business owners know that we care, that RadioKair cares about them, but more or less to give them a showcase on their business to each other as well as small business owners in our community. So with that being said, where do you guys spend your time connecting with veterans? Where do you spend your time connecting with small businesses? Where could we come and find Storyteller Promotions to figure out how to do business with you?
Okay. We are one of the original members of the Youth and Veterans Chamber of Commerce. There is a veteran-owned business chamber directory that is online under the Youth and Veteran Chamber of Commerce. There is an online map. So whether you're a veteran chamber member or not, if you're a veteran-owned business and you want to do business with a veteran-owned business, there's actually an interactive map where you can go on and figure out who's in your area. The entire thing is searchable by various trades, titles, industries. You can look for Storyteller Promotions right on there, or any other business that is veteran owned that you might want to do business with. Air conditioning, electricians. They virtually represent every single trade out there. And then if you are a veteran owned business and you're interested in more information, we meet weekly on Fridays from 11 to 1 on Zoom. And then in addition to that, we have a thing called the Landing Zone that's currently being operated on Tuesday mornings from 11 to 1, again on Zoom. All of these, if you go to the Houston Veteran Chamber of Commerce webpage and go to our events page, you'll see all these things listed and then the links to get on.
Okay, perfect.
But the Landing Zone is the brainchild of what we call, I'm part of a group called the Pathfinders. It goes back to the old World War II airborne guys that went ahead of airborne to kind of find the path for the rest of the service, whoever's landing to go and take on. So our job, there's 6 of us, and we help guide the members through the chamber experience. Kind of like an ambassador program or a mentor program, but really kind of refined, where it's about making connections for a specific vet who's got a business that I'm just getting started. What do I need to do? And we'll plug them into the right places just so he or she can get off the ground running, or if they need help with a program or something they're doing, we'll talk to them about marketing or sales training or whatever it is they need. We'll figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, those are important in chamber relationships. I know that, that the chamber relationships around here are great. I'm part of East Montgomery County, like I said, partnership like Houston. Each of them have diplomat and ambassador programs.
Right.
And also the Woodlands Chamber of Commerce that I was part of for years. I'll tell you, chambers of commerce, if they embrace that part of their ownership and the responsibility of the chamber and figure out people that can support those members better, it just makes it last, right? I mean, joining a chamber of commerce is great. We can all send anybody $500 a year and sign a piece of paper. We can all do that.
Right.
But what are you doing with it, right? What
are you getting out of it?
And then having somebody to teach you what all you could get out of it. If you did this, hey, we do this free marketing material on this website. This guy offers you free airtime on this station. All those things that people don't know as rookies walking into chambers, I think is important. And especially for our veterans, because they're coming from a different world, right? A lot of these guys have a trade, have a skill they've developed in their service, and then they come home, they've got a great business concept, and they know they can make money at it because they made good money at it in the military, and then I can do this. But they don't have the small business ownership, and then your chamber can help supply that in so many ways.
Sometimes that transition from military life to civilian life can be one of the most difficult things in the world. And that was a little bit of a challenge for me when I first did it. One day you're 22 years old, a sergeant, and you got people running around doing everything you tell them to do, and you walk out and you're nobody again. Yeah, you're just another guy. So even if you have that idea, unless you have the connections on the outside of where do I go? How do I do it? You, you're kind of stuck. You're stymied a little bit. And I think the chamber gives that vehicle to, take those ideas and gives you that camaraderie and support system that you need immediately around you, and who to talk to and where to go. Dave Weaver puts it pretty well. I can give you the place, but you got to do the push-ups.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to explain it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it does take work,
Yeah.
right? And you've got to put in your sweat equity to get at what you want of it. But I think that is important, and I just love the idea that chamber. I've been talking to some people that are involved in nonprofits, and one of the guys kind of touched my heart earlier. He has a nonprofit that deals with veteran homelessness. All right, and so that's something to consider when you're thinking about a veteran-owned business. Is the guys did, like you said, they were a sergeant. Some of them walk away from military service with all the capacities, both physically and psychological, to be successful in environment. Some guys need a little support.
Yep.
Some guys just need a level set, right? There's different things that veterans that, right? I wasn't in the service, so I'm not going to speak on their behalf, but maybe you can. Some guys that come out that maybe have some conflict, right? Maybe you're dealing with some demons that they needed a little additional support that not only the veteran community, but all the small business owners in our community in general can provide. Maybe it's as simple as, hey, instead of buying from this big box store, go to the veteran website, right? The Chamber of Commerce website, and see if their business does out there, right? It drives me crazy. My wife, and she's the worst, is buying from Amazon. And I literally grit my teeth, and I'll use Amazon by name because I have a very strong opinion about their end goal. But she buys, and I'm like, babe, you bought this trinket, this widget. You know that my buddy that's in the chamber with me, his wife sells those at this store? Yeah. Oh, really? I was like, yeah. And how much do you spend on $11? And I'll call, hey, Gina, how much do you sell those for? $11. Or maybe it's 13. And I'm like, well, you paid $3 for shipping.
Right.
Yeah.
And now Amazon got a cut of where they order of that same $11 deal would have went to the person that in our community that can contribute, and instead we're giving a cut to a major corporation that we may or may not see that help, so it'll drive you crazy. So yeah, anyway, so going down the path of supporting the veterans, right, and making sure we do our due diligence. I do want to tell you personally, thank you for your service. I do want to tell you it's not empty, right? I listened to Dave talk yesterday, the president of that chamber, and he did say something that stuck with me, and the fact that I've never not said thank you without deep meaning for it, right? I'm not one of those people that just throw things out there and have all the cute, hey, we're going to wear a red, white, and blue tie on Veterans Day. Yeah. That's not me, right? Whenever I say something, I mean it. And I want to say with that, I do recognize the fact that the sacrifices I went through growing up and that I went through early in my career were, okay, well, I stayed at work till 8 o'clock and missed my kid's soccer practice, right? They were I had to work on a weekend and didn't go to my wife's event at her family's. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are sacrifices, yes. Are they anything compared to what our service members go through? Right? These guys are going away for months at a time, and they may or may not come back in the same physical and mental state they left in. So I want to tell you, I appreciate the risk, and I appreciate the effort and the choices you made to do that. I want to make sure that I told you that personally and why I feel that is. And I think that everybody in our community needs to do a better job of, when you thank a veteran, just not thank you for your service. You know the difference when someone's being genuine and someone's just saying words. Absolutely. Let's make sure it's not just words. Right?
I'll tell you, it was an honor to do that. I never really thought about sacrifices that might be made, I followed in the footsteps of family members who had gone before me, taking the oath to defend this country, being away from family. It truly wasn't. To be accepted into that cadre was to wear the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor for the rest of my life was an honor, and I'll never lose that.
Yep. Yeah, we do appreciate it, and thank you so much. Okay, so I think the big points here that we've discussed, and I'll let you tell me if we forgot something else that you want to disclose, but I think the big points are, hey, we've got Veterans Day coming up. Let's make sure we thank a veteran the right way. There are veteran-owned businesses through the website, and what is that website one more time?
It's the Houston Veteran Chamber of Commerce.org.
Okay.
Houston is actually shortened, so it's HOU Veteran Chamber of Commerce.org.
Okay. So go Google that, find a veteran business that you can support. And I think the bigger thing is to, instead of going to that .com company that has so many pins, let's reach out to a locally owned business. There's some others out there that are also good at what they do, but don't go to the .coms. They're not giving back to what we need, right? Is that the big picture things?
Yeah, they're not servicing the community.
Yeah, it's. I like what they always say that when you spend $100 at a small business, whether veteran or otherwise, you're giving back to the community. It's going to some kid's bicycle or college education. It's not just going to some cough or someplace to stockholders.
Yeah, the CEO that just okay, you made him $1,004 today.
Yeah.
Instead of $1 million.
Well, and some of the locals, it's not just, yes, veterans, we're obviously passionate about that, but even your local shop owners, that pays their rent so they can keep the doors open. That's truly important unless you want to live in a ghost town.
Yeah, and the tax dollars that pay for your kids' education.
Exactly.
Yeah. And all those things. So Mike and Ruth, is there something else that I forgot to include that we need to disclose at this time?
Anything, Ben?
I think we got it covered.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us in.
Appreciate the opportunity.
It was fun talking to you.
Yep. So Mike and Ruth Mallon with Storytime Promotions.
Storyteller.
Our Storyteller Promotions. How do we again get a hold of your company? How do we do business with the great soda pop top from
Adventure
Up?
badge.
I love it. Yeah.
It's our
I'll
adventure
remember
badge.
it, right? I'll remember it. And that's the goal.
That's what we hope.
Yep. So how do we get in contact with your team?
Quickest, easiest way, storytellerpromotions.com. We are on the web. All of our contact information is on there.
Facebook,
Instagram. It's all under Storyteller
LinkedIn.
Promotions. LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're easy to find you.
I love it. So yeah, reach out to this veteran-owned business. We're proud to have you guys, and thanks again. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.